Disclaimer: the information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GAN's processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
The understanding of the transmutation of the fields of the universe will become the new occupation of man. In a way, up to now, we looked into the skies to see the UFO. Mankind will look into the skies with the eye of the soul, not with the eye of the man. And universe and unicos is oyster. You've got to understand that with a new understanding of the fields of the universe in motion, what we call energy, fields of the universe in the uniformity of the motion we call plasma, now has to be understood. Now has to be integrated into the structure of what we call life of the man in the space. We need to bring this change in, as now mankind has matured enough in numbers to be able to bring that burden of the change for the rest. You'll be amazed in the next few weeks and months how the drug traffickers will dump and try to make the dogs and the cats addict because they can't reach their bosses. And you do the same with your cat and dog, but just buy them ahead and put them on the line the hours that is transmitted. And we have set our system that there is no hacking. Now you have to understand how to bring the two fields of your soul, of physicality, you will call the spirit, and the soul of the man, to work together. That does not need the brain cell, but it works without it, the way you shall do when you become a passenger of the universe, as your brain in this amino acid cannot exist. We don't have a brain between the earth and the sun. It's got to be part of the knowledge of man in space that sooner or later mankind will come to understand that the totality of the knowledge shared belongs not only to man, and is the right of every citizen of this planet. And it's the right of all of us to have access to it. We don't make a game of it, we make a life of it. Keshe Foundation is set to bring that change to technology, and we will have many enemies. Those who want us not to be there, and how they can bring that condition for them not to be. Try to understand what the emotion is. Try to understand how you create that emotion. Try to understand in what condition of physicality you create the strength with the interaction of the field of the soul that gives you that emotion. And then go to your soul and create the same field of strength that the interaction with the soul of physicality creates the same emotion. Then if you become mature to this, then it doesn't matter if the soul is the protector of the physicality or the physicality is protector of the soul. They work in a synchronized manner because they are both aware of everything. When you work in that strength, all the other souls and physicalities work on the same strength, then man shall not lie, man shall not cheat, man shall not kill, because I'm hungry, I need fields, and I'm given fields. It's got to be understood by majority of the people. And gradually, but all from the point of the first education, what it means to live with the soul, and what it means the existence of the spirit, or the dimension of physicality. Our children will be educated to the knowledge of the universe from birth, the way they inherited the exchromosome and became paralyzed and become all the diseases we caught. It's just the energy and emotion which has brought that change. So the same shall be when the man understands this as a childhood, within the father's and mother's energy fields that has no X chromosome or Y. When the children of the man are created from the fields of the soul of the man, man shall bring no imperfect child to this world. That time has come. And that time is amongst us. And it's the time for us to bring it. In a coming time, in a very, very short time, as we are working in the background and development of technologies, as our team have to understand it, there'll be no room for vaccination. We transfer the energy of what we call the virus, which your body of dimension of physicality could be a virus on this planet, but on another planet or position in the universe is your food, to understand the transmutation from position to position. So you do come to the point that if you want to have a measles protection, you put your child this channel, this time allows this to be received as an energy. There'll be no ADHD, there will be no autism because of the mixture of the viruses and the injections and fake ways they do deliver to them. Now, gradually, your eyes opening up, the capability and the possibilities which is now is open to mankind. You go on channel 24 and you can have as much apple as you like, but you won't pull an apple, you won't kill an apple. You want to have a lamb, you go on channel 26, you get to taste the food and everything of it, and you don't need to slaughter an animal. Now you understand how extensive this will touch you and how satellites are needed, because the electronic satellites have a limitation of physicality. We need the soul satellite, which is of the same and transmute the same and is there to give and to exist. I made man in the image of myself. Is our creator ADHD, or is he a drug addict? None. and so should be the man. Now the man has the mind. And this is the cornerstones of the teaching. This is the cornerstones of understanding the embodiment of the cosmic rays, the soul, the ganses, and everything else which goes with it. What will be the next step for you to understand the strength of the cosmic rays? Which one you need, which one you don't need. How do you attract it to yourself, and how you reject some because you don't need it even though they're on target. Very soon, once we start these systems to go public for you to tap into, you will tell us how you feel. You will tell us, today I didn't eat, not interested, because today I received what I need as energy through all the channels which is set up by Keshe Foundation. We govern the planet, not pieces of land. We govern through the soul and technology and knowledge, not by the gun policy and whatever sits with it. We need your support to be able to bring that change scientifically, correctly, and with the process and understanding of the whole lot, that we do not bring the change by wars, we bring change by love and creation of new country. I hope you understand what's on the table today and what is the part of the teaching. The main topic and the main objective of today is you do not need intermediaries. And nobody can protect the right of the Creator when themselves are abusers of the name of the Creator in the name of Ayatollah and the rest of it. I hope you understood the teaching of today. It has come to an end, and you understand scientifically why to the abuse of the man by the religion. Unless you enjoy an intermediary because you still think, I haven't found either, so I double in weaknesses of my own lack of understanding. Look to understand, try to find out the knowledge, and at the same time try to be precise, that you don't need another intermediary. You understand the knowledge that there is no need for intermediary anywhere in the universe. Always said, my message hasn't changed. It's for you to understand the maturity. When I said to the professors at Jeddah University in early 2012-13, when they wanted to send a student to the KF SSI, in which direction do you get your student to pray and bend when it's traveling the span of the universe and the earth is rotating and they're upside down and they're in different part of the universe which rotates itself? Where do you find your God to pray to, unless your God is within you, understanding the conduct? The message has not changed. And the technology and the knowledge has not changed. We just explain more of it that you understand it more freely.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 519th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, January 4th, 2024. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the public teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond, and I'll be host once again in this weekly series of workshops. We're nearly up to 10 years of continuous weekly workshops now. And of course, we're always joined with Mr. Mehran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation. And I believe he's ready to begin today's workshop. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Are you there?
Yeah. Good morning, good day to you as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of knowledge seekers from the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. As usual, we welcome you back and we hope to be able to share some more knowledge. We started a new year, we're on the 4th or 5th days of it, and we're still busy trying to understand what happened to us in the past few weeks and what's going to happen to us in the future. As we said, and we hear in the intro, we have to understand the fields of emotion. We have to understand the fields and the strength of the fields which create this emotion. And at the same time, once we understand this, we have to understand how other fields are created and what is strength. In the body of the man today, we eat an apple. We create that weak strength field of the gans, of the energies that our body needs. And through the principle of the interaction of the fields in the plasma condition, the other 80% come into it. It gets attracted to, and it gets fed. In the coming time, we have to learn how to create that field of the apple without eating the apple. How we create that in the dimension of the emotion, of the physicality of the man, in the dimension of soul of physicality, where the physicality is not needed anymore to consume that apple. This itself is an art. This itself becomes an art for man to learn. In a way, if you look at it, if you understand the principle of the interaction, you can use the soul to interact with the soul of physicality, that their interaction creates the energy field of the apple. That in that process, you do not need to eat the apple. This is a secret of feeding both the soul and the soul of physicality. Up to now, you use the soul of physicality and physicality to have an emotion of wanting an apple, because when you desire to have an apple, your body has said what vitamins, what minerals, what energy of these are needed by the body for it to survive. So it converts it to an apple. It converts it to a beef. It converts it to another thing. It converts it to a thirst. Now you have to learn how to create the same seed of the energy in the interaction of the soul of the man and the soul of physicality, without circulation of the blood, without consuming any other object, any other entity. This process is not far from many of you who have entered the sections of the Keshe Foundations and the terms and cycles which we are going through. You are gradually learning. We have to go through this mayhem of excitements and pursuance of finding, feeling, and not having the feeling, and relying on a trust, on a belief, on an understanding that I have created it and I've received it, and I receive what I want. In this process, you gradually learn to replace the interaction between the solar physicality and the physicality for the emotion, for a hunger, for love, between these two and the other two, which is the soul of the man and the soul of physicality. In reality, you change the physical body of the man who feels, which is weaker, with the stronger, which is the soul of the man. But in reality, it has the same common denominator. Within the soul of the man and within the soul of the physicality of the man, still there is that essence, that common denominator which connects them together, because that's how they created out of each other. In a way, if you understand it, when you put a GANs, you put a drop of another GANs which are using another patch to be connected to each other. It's the same process, but this time, instead of a drop of GANs, is a drop of the line of the connection of the soul of the creator, which brings that connection. Now you understand how simple man can walk away from killing, how man can walk away from destroying another physical life for its physical life to survive, to live, to exist, and to carry on with its existence, not only on this planet, but beyond. This is the cornerstone of man becoming man of the space. But first, you have to learn the emotion. First, you have to understand how this emotion is carried. And first, you have to understand what feeling this emotion gives you, that you use that feeling to be able to transmute, to be able to receive the energy you need. We started this process last Friday when all of you joined in what we call the law of Mitra on the 22nd of December. This is the first part of that phase. Need to love, need to give love, and understanding what feels you received from the environment that you'll be able and you've been able to give out as love. The whole process of the teaching, the whole process of the structure of the 22nd of December trial test with 100 of you, and is going to be repeated next Friday, is this and only this: how to receive, in what measure to receive, and in what measure to give. You receive through your soul, and you give to your soul of physicality that it does not need to kill in the dimension of physicality. In a way, you are all hungry for love. In a way, you're hungry to give without receiving. But you have to understand the same processes between the creator and the created. And this is where the whole secret of existence, the whole secret of life in the universe is based on. So what we started on the 22nd is the first stage in for you to see what fields you need. You needed the feel of love, to feel love, to be able to give. And what emotion did it create for you in that process? That's the emotion of love for you. Next time in the future cycles, we teach you how to receive the apple, the fields of the apple. And then in interaction with what you give to the soul of physicality, the physicality receives the apple. You taste it, you feel it, you get the energy of it from your physicality. This is how the training has to go. This is how we educate you step by step, without you knowing, but with what you desire. You all wanted to love and give the love of Mitra. And you went through the process. Now, again, we put you through the same process. See if next Friday you feel the same process. Did you feel the same as last week as this week? Last time and this time? And then you'll be able to understand how to receive by the wish and how to give by the wish. But this time, as the process is between the soul of the man and the universe, and what you gave had no destination, you just wanted to give love, and you give that love to what is part of you, which is your soul of physicality, which then it becomes the soul of the man, the feeder of the physicality of the man, which we've been trying to teach you past years. How to feed yourself. How to feed the soul of the physicality, that the soul of physicality feeds the physicality of the man without killing. Now you received the biggest gift of your new year, if you understood what has been said. We brought you in with the love of Mitra, and your soul desired to feel that love and to give that love. Now you understand that's the first step. If you manage to receive the love of Mitra, and you manage to give from that love to out without you targeting it, you wanted to give, now give it to the soul of physicality. Then you understand the process of the feed through universal cosmos rays. How the cosmic rays comes to become part of you, and how it has been part of you from the beginning of the time of your life. The whole process of the teaching is to teach you, to make you, does not matter if you're a man or a beast, how to receive energies of the universe that you do not kill anymore, you do not destroy anymore. And once this is done, then you become the true man of the universe. You become part of universal community in the true sense of it, the essence of existing in peace. That you are not threat to me and I'm no threat to you. Then you can decide in which dimension you manifest yourself, as a man, as a beast, as a dog, as an alien, or as the soul of the creator, when you reach that state of understanding the totality of the creation. Now you understand how teaching is set, how step by step we take you from one position to another, train you for past year and a half, and this year you learn to live without killing. You learn to create that condition and dimension of peace. And those of you who became satellites, you will understand your position and the importance of what you accepted. In a way, you signed for it, but on the other hand, your soul was created for it. To accept this responsibility, to accept this condition and position. In coming time, the number of the satellites will increase. What we call in a way today as those who devote their life to serve the others. And then will become, through the same process, users of the fields of the universe, and not the lives of the universe to exist. And when you reach that point, maturity, you teach. You share the knowledge, you share the process, you share the emotion. It's very much that if a child is in the womb of the mother, from that point of conception, that point of creation of the first fields of the soul of the man, the mother within the womb of itself teaches the child how to receive energies from the universe, even without tapping to the fields of the energies of the mother. Giving birth in the future will be very different than the present time, but man will understand. When you travel the span of the universe, how do you teach a fetus that there is no air, there is no water, there is no condition of killing or you taking from me what you take from the universe? And how would we give birth to our children of the man in space when there is no delivery rooms? Now you understand how the process of the creation, how the process of understanding to gain the field of the universe will affect the future of the man in space, in the universe. That womb was in the dimension of physicality of the mother. What happened when you fall in love with the soul of another entity in the universe, and what we call the fruit of that love is creation of a new soul. As you all have the common denominator of the soul of the creator, so the inception through the soul of the creation will be as common as today is amongst the physical man. Then you understand how to give love and how to receive love. And then you understand how you give that love to your child. These are not fairy tales. In a coming time, as the process of the creation of the daughter of Mitra has started, will be as common as today's birth on this planet. As we come into space, as we become the people of the universe, we find out that's the only way. You learned how to receive love. You learned how to give love. But we kept one secret from you on the 22nd. And that secret will be unraveled or shown on the 12th. And we would like to see what changes, what difference in emotion you feel in receiving the love and in giving the love. We kept the secret till we understand how you feel after the 12th. Then you understand the existence of the soul. Then you understand the process of the physicality. Then you understand the process of solar physicality. You need to, you have to understand this process. How important the soul of the man is within the embedded structure of the physical life of the man, that how you will learn to survive in space. We showed you what I call your straight lines, the flat line of the soul of physicality and the physicality, and how this can be achieved, how you find harmony and balance, and in that process you decide what you need, in what dimension, and do you need to create the dimension of physicality. In the coming time, we'll show you how to reverse from what we call transmutation to physicality. When you transmute, you have the energy. When you want to go back to physicality, how do you manifest yourself? How do you bring the soul of physicality out? The interaction of the soul of physicality with its environment manifests the physicality of the man at the time, place and position, where you do not need any more the monkey suit. Now you understand how the 2024 will bring the establishment and the first stages of man to become part of the universal community. As I said to a friend of mine, just look at the digits and understand the culture of 8, in the Chinese culture. It's a lucky number. And you fulfill the whole of the past promises in 2024. You all are part of it, not one, not an individual. In that process of understanding, you come to understand the totality. And in that process, you become part of the totality. And then we'll see how many of you will become passengers of the universe. Become those that even during the teaching can travel the span of universe and bring us the beauties of it. In the coming time, in the process of the teaching and what we do outside the teachings in what are called practical workshops, the way we did in this, you went in the system and you came out and you told us where you've been. You'll come during the teaching and the process, tell us where have you been and what is the message and what you have seen and how many of you would like to go and see the place. The extent of the teaching is one at a time, then as a group of you. As I said, we split you in different groups, we split you in different sections, and then you work, you travel together. You learn how to, and those of you who are there become the future teachers for the other souls. You teach how to work with the soul in the dimension of physicality. And the teaching you do will not be with this and that, but with transfer of the energy fields of the emotion of the soul of you with their soul. In the universe, there are no languages, no universities, and no mechanical systems to do things. You have to learn to live, to exist, to interact through the fields of the universe and your soul. This is how we came to teach. This is how we came to bring the change. This is how the change will come amongst all of you from all the nations. When we look at the panels of those who participate here from 30, 40 different nationalities and races, and all learn at the same time. But go back and see how you were created out of other races during the time of the life on this planet. Then you understand you are all connected while you're on the system. Does not matter if you're English, Chinese, German, black, white, speak different languages. When it comes to the panel of sharing, you're all equal because you're there through your soul and not your dimension of physicality. And then you learn to teach the same. Then you learn to share the same. Then as you learn the correct way, you learn and you've done the correct things, you become the good teachers of the future for those who start teaching. And then understand the process of the teaching. Then you understand the process of creation as you teach yourself to the others. Does not matter if you limp, you have one leg, you have one eye, you have 3, God knows whatever organs in your body, is irrelevant. Because the beauty of you is the beauty of your soul. Physicality does not count. And then even in what we call manifestation of your physicality in another dimension, you are a perfect person, but in another dimension you might be missing a leg because your soul needs to receive certain fields. That missing leg in interaction with the others creates a condition of receiving what you're short of in your soul. And then you manifest yourself when you receive it with a full, not missing leg. Now you understand how things are done. This is now you understand how people created with different, what I call, imperfections in the eye of the man, but perfection in the eye of the soul of the creation. why some of us become so beautiful to attract all the attention, because the soul needs that. And why some of us behave different, because that's what our soul is short of, and with the behavior we attract. Then if you understood this, you should have understood how even to attract the fields that you need to feed yourself, that do not and does not create that condition of the emotion of the physicality that you steal from the others by behavior. The process of the transmutation is not simple. The process of transmutation needs the total understanding and devotion to creation, and not just a man to achieve, to be able to do, and then to brag about it, that I can do. As we said, the bigger the tree, the humbler it becomes and bends towards the earth. The more you learn, the humbler you have to become. And in that process, to cover more, to be on the shelter of your knowledge and your understanding. In a way, you're preparing your souls for the final journey to become part of the universal community. And it won't happen to all of you to log out, but step by step, as you mature, you take that route. The same as when the soul matures, leaves the physicality behind. But this time, you have a choice how you manifest again, where you manifest again, and how you manifest again. It'll be interesting for many of you when you start transmuting on earth from one position to another. If the intention of your soul is wrong, the transmutation will not take place. If your intention, your emotion, the understanding of the soul, as nothing is hidden from it, is to go from London to New York to create mayhem for your family and pain, you'll find out you will not be able to do. If your intention is there to create more love and connection and bring more prosperity to the soul of the others, you'll find out that you will transmute. This goes back to the early teachings, when I told you the time will come that even the kings and the rulers will walk away from the system, as their soul will not accept. Now you understand the message of the past. Now you understand why. Your soul will not allow to create another mayhem in another dimension. And this is how the man will transmute. When you arrive, you are a man of peace. When you arrive, there are no wrong intentions, because the soul will not allow that to take place. Take a magnet and put it in a position, and you see how much more field you need to exert if you are pushing a magnet to take a new position that it does not allow. It's not allowed. It's the same with the solar. Now you understand how the ethos of Mitra comes into operation. You have to think good that the soul allows the transmutation. Then when you arrive, you talk good, that the soul does not get rejected, and you act good, that your physical dimension cannot bring what I call loss to another soul. The ethos of Mitra is ethos of interaction of the fields of the plasma, the creator, the fields of the creation. And now you understand more why we emphasize and bring the mysticism and the principle of the fields of the creation through the name of the Mitra. For a man to be perfect on the point, the time, and the place of manifestation or transmutation. We have built the systems, and the systems are getting to the point that we will be able to transmute thousands of you at the same time, in a way to create a condition for your souls, by decision of you, to transmute. It'll be interesting in 2024 and 2025 how we will work and how the whole process will work. And how many of you will be many, you will be able to grasp, understand the whole process. And to what extent? In the first 6 months of the year, as we said, on the third of each month, third week Friday of each month, we start this process. We take you through this process with us controlling in the background, and you as the drivers trying to exchange your energies between your soul and the soul of physicality in a way for you to learn the process of transmutation, the process of understanding of movement of the fields within you, not another object. And then in that process, for you to learn how to recall the fields. In a way, you think of an apple. You create the fields of that thinking, that emotion, the taste, the smell. And with that, you create that field interaction in the dimension of soul of physicality. And in conjunction with the soul of the man, you absorb that field from the universe. Then the question comes, what happened? I come across a new fruit, a new entity which I would like to know how it tastes, the lover. Then you go back to the process of giving and see if you receive back from what you gave, then you understand that's the emotion of the fields of the entity that you need, and is given to you by the entity. You do not need to kill it to absorb its energy. Now, the process of the transmutation and life in the universe gradually become transparent to all of you. In time, these recordings will be taught to billions of you as you graduate, as you understand more, and becomes a cornerstone of the teaching of the transmutation. Maybe one day, the soul of the knowledge will be transferred without the voice of the knowledge. But in time, that will be completed when you all understand and accomplish the process of the transmutation of the fields between the soul of the man and the soul of physicality. That in essence, you transfer and manifest the energies of the soul within the soul of the physicality of the man. And then the beauty of the Creator shall manifest. It's the time when you achieve that. Is the process and what we call the promised day, when the fields of the Creator will be shared amongst the two and understood by two, and then in that process, in creating a new dimension of the fields, will be the fields of the Creator. That point of maturity might be achieved by some at the point of birth, and might not be achieved by some even the whole life of the cycle in the universe. When you can transfer a full energy of the soul of the man into the soul of physicality of the man, and it becomes one, then you reach the dimension of the Creator as one and not And then you will understand the beauty of the creation as like in a star. From it will manifest new lives, new dimensions, and new universes. And as I said before, some of you in an instance will reach that point, and some of you will endeavor for a lifetime, and it will be a dream which will never come to be the truth and the reality, as you never understood fully, you never accepted fully, you never practiced in full dimension the ethos of Mitra. In a way, this is how Mitra attracted the Creator to Earth, to bring knowledge, to become part of itself, to become the essence of the manifestation of the man. In the coming time, by developing physical systems, will bring you more and more to be closer, to be able to transmute through the dimension of the soul and understand the interaction of the soul of the man and the soul of physicality. For the time being, is for you to understand the process of the creation of the fields, interaction of the fields, absorption of the fields without killing, without destroying another life, but in a way to receive love, to give love, and see what you give will bring you back as love that becomes that cosmic ray that you interact with, operate through, and manifest yourself in all dimensions of physicality and transmutation. Thank you very much for today. I hope the first teaching of 2024 opens to you the light of transmutation, the light of understanding your soul in the beginning of a new cycle for man, as was promised in all the holy books. We shall fulfill the full understanding, and not by magic and deception. You can deceive yourselves, but teaching shall stay and prove its correctness to all of you when you reach that point. Thank you very much, Rick. If you take us for the teaching, a break, then we come back.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. Thank you. Okay, this is the 519th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, January 4th, 2024. And we will take a short break here and be back with the second half of this Knowledge Seekers Workshop, where people will have the opportunity to ask questions, including the attendees. You can raise your virtual hand in order to ask Mr. Keshe a question. Okay, we'll be back shortly.
The revolutionary new Flight Enhancement Spaceship unit is due to be launched in June 2022 and in the same year is expected to fly passengers into space, to the moon and beyond for a day or even several days at a time. There is no need for the Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit to carry food or medicine, as it is equipped with the latest space technology for transportation, transmutation and deep space operation. This extraordinary breakthrough technology ushers in a new era of travel without the need of fuel, food or medicine, even during the longest excursions into deep space. Each spaceship unit has a 4-passenger capacity for long or short duration flights and has the capability to travel between cities on Earth in a matter of seconds to minutes, depending on the distance and speed. This ability to traverse massive distance in such incredibly short time is not just a breakthrough for human transport, it also completely revolutionizes the transportation of goods and cargo, and will rapidly overcome the need for one of our most polluting practices, namely marine shipping, as it finally breaks us free not only from the combustion of heavy diesel, but from the combustion of any fuel for propulsion in the future. The Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a new paradigm in space travel, space medicine, and space technology. The new Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a plasma space technology to prepare humanity for transportation and transmutation in deep space. Essential processes are embedded to prevent mutations and psychosomatic conditions during deep space travel. This new system is designed to support upper body conditions, especially of the lungs and intestines, and can be targeted specifically for each organ. When inside the Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit, the body experiences balance in totality, enabling it to correct and rebalance all the fields within itself. The new Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a dimension in health and transportation never seen before.
Okay, back again at the 519th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here. And because it's the second half, we usually have questions for Mr. Keshe. But Mr. Keshe, you usually have something you'd like to say before we begin that, perhaps?
Oh, not really. As we know, we have a session next Friday with those of you who were with us on 22nd. And then limited numbers will be those of you are registering for every Friday of the next third Friday of every month for next 6 months. As we prepare and we go through the transmutation, as you understood, I hope, in the first part, that the 22nd is the beginning of the receive and giving fields and how we do it. And in the course of next 6 months, what you received and what you give as love will be energy that you give to the soul of physicality of yourself. That in a way is a target practicing. Your soul of physicality is at reach, you understand it, you know it. And then you see how you start elevating, and then we teach you how you travel the span of the universe with the same process, with the same technique. And gradually we make a man of space out of you. The dimension of the fields, and not by rocket and propulsion, but even though we are preparing systems for that, that you gradually be able to do both if you wish. If there are any questions, we try to answer. There's been a lot of questions coming to me, a few people asking, can you explain about the fields, as you said, in the name of the religions and whatever last week? The process is very simple. As we said, you have to understand the totality of the life in the Middle East in the past thousands of years. And we have to understand, we have had a number of tribes who lived in this area. You have in the, what we call, known as the West Bank, or what we know now, or the state of Israel, part of Jordan, going up to, touching up the Greek side, back to Syria, and down to what we call the Iraq of today. This is where part of the civilization where the gods were created of the dimension of the non-tangible. And then a lot of people, to understand it, they made it tangible with the statues. And in that process, there has been interaction between different tribes and different groups, and most of our religion comes from what we call the based on Babylon and what we call today's West Bank. And in this area, is again, they have over time divided or became different sects. The what we call the what we call Palestinians today were the original groups. Then you had the Israelis and then Yahwas, and they became the two sides of what we call the Jewish side, and the Palestinians were the outside. But in a way, they have all believed in God. And then they changed that into statues which they could connect. And the whole structure, again, in creation of gods, for people to understand, was based on the rise and fall of the sun. What comes from the east and what goes down in the west. What came on the east, which is on the sunrise, always had to fight the darkness. That's the way the belief was. And was always in battle. And always won, because it became the day, the full day. And then when it goes through the sunset, from the lunchtime on, it became, it has achieved its battle, now is at peace. So the what we call the West, where it goes into what we call the Jerusalem, and that part is considered as the West, as a time of peace. And the word Shalom, Shalim came from. And then the side which comes from the east side, which is fighting to do, it came from the word Shah, which is S-H-A-H, and different attachment to it. That was the god of war, the god of power, where the god of peace was in the afternoon when the power was achieved. Now it was time of peace. And then, like Jerusalem, it comes in the direction to the west, which means there's a place of peace. And then how you played with these, what we call between the Shalim and the Shah, you created the name. That Shalim is, it's very important because it creates different sounds, and then they played with it. In the other side of the mountain, which was the Iranian or Persian Empire, they made it the Shah, king of the kings. Because on the west of the mountain, which is Hamadan, on that side of the sub-mountain, Zara, they believe they come from the east, and they are the powerful one. So they picked that name for them as a religious name. And then Shalom, which is that Salam, when they put Islam, Shalom, made the, what I call the peace God, and Muhammad chose it especially. And then again we'll see with the names how it was created. Most of the names we see in this area is all connected to different gods, even today. And then when you look at the Arabic names which is connected to Muhammad, all somehow connected to different gods. Your name was picked up by the name of the gods. We have that tradition today. We in the Christianity, you have a birthday date, which is your physical birth, and then you have a name, which is the day of the name, which is chosen by you. And you put all the name of the saints on your child, and then you celebrate the day of the birth, physical birth, and then you celebrate the birth name, which is the name of that, whatever it's called, San Joseph, whatever, you celebrate your birthday because your name is Joseph on the day of the Saint Joseph. And this has been the tradition which has come from the pagan time. So people put the name of gods on their children. And if you go back, this is the reason we say it's impossible that Islam came from where Mecca is today, because Allah, Ali, and all that comes from the West Bank. Does not exist, did not exist in the names of the Southern Peninsula. And this is why a lot of things make sense. Even if you look at the Suleiman, it's the game, comes from Shalim, Salam, which is the Suleiman, the one who possesses love. And he was supposed to be, but Suleiman, proven by his name to be a true lover. He had 1,700 legal wives and 300 harem. He actually forgot about his job. He was more interested in women, and then he created the statues for all these women he loved. Read the history of the Jewish Bible, and then you understand. Even you go to Dawood, or called David, he was the same. But when you look and compare, which Suleiman was about 1,000 plus around that time, before time of Christ, his life history with having 1,000 women in his possession, Muhammad has done very well with 20. You have to understand what was going on in the Jewish time, in those who believed or tried to believe in the part of the history of the Judaism. The same was with Christ when he came, which was part of, built up in the same dimension area. And a lot of names they chose was from the tribe and from the God they believed in. And when you put this together, you see all the names of uncles and cousins and tribes of Muhammad come from that area, Jordan area, because it fits the belief in gods they had and the tribe they came. And which side, how they connected to each other, and how they created mysticism out of names, because that's how they could create the image of God to them. And this is why we can tell, and what we call historians through the books can tell us how the origin of the religion of God, Abrahimism, came from this area. And it all fits into each other, the names and the travels they did, the ruling they did, and how if you look at the time of 3,000-4,000 years ago, was very much like the Italy of 200-300 years ago. Many, many kings in different parts ruling. And this was the same. Many, many tribes having little leaders, they call them the kings, but all the kings' names were chosen through the name of the gods to have influence were created. History does not lie. Mysticism creates a lot of lies into the history to make it to be accepted. And if you go back, further back into the history of the area, the Palestinians, or what we call those who came to believe in Moses or his way, which we don't even know part of it, how it was, they're all Palestinians. They were all of the same blood, the same. It's just a path of religion and belief in what they believed has created what we call races by faith and not races by blood. And we keep the Jews, the Muslims, and the Christians, and the rest. And this is for those of you who wanted more clarity on what we spoke last week, that you understand exactly where you are. And then you add what we call regional culture, regional language, regional rulers. They all twisted and turned the name of and the behavior of people according to the gods they believe. If you read about the history of Suleiman, Suleiman was so infatuated with women that he even forgot about Judaism. He because his women start rebelling about him and the things he was doing, he stopped building temples and statues from the women he married from different tribes for them to go back to what we call believing in statues. The women forced him to come to that point, and he got to the point that he actually was walking away from Judaism because of the women. It was very hard to please 700 women or wives. Read about the life of Suleiman. It's very interesting, very colorful guy. And then you understand the whole process. Any other question?
Okay, thank you. In our Q&A here from Pierluigi, says, good morning, Mr. Keshe. The Italian government has approved a law that increases the threshold of electromagnetic fields for 5G. This is very dangerous for your health. What can Keshe Technology do about this? Thank you.
The Indians have a beautiful say. They say, OG, OG. Nothing you can do. This is, we have produced all these, what we call butterflies you buy from the Keshe Foundation. And this is specifically made, they're not a normal, what we call field absorption or balancing. And there's not much you can do because these fields will go right across everywhere. You don't carry a mobile, but you're still in line of them. They're everywhere. We'll see some reactions, some physical reactions. We'll see some other bits with it, with different people, but in general, you can't do anything because you have to understand what you see as 5G and the others is planned years ago by agreement with all the telecommunication organizations around the world. In regular conferences they organize on a monthly basis. All the telecom communications, all the communication companies meet on regular basis at a very top once a month, and in the groups as every 3 months around the world somewhere, to plan the next step, what's going to be after the 5G and parameters of the 5G. What you get as 5G now is decided 10 years ago with all the world communication companies together. And depends which communication company goes with others. What frequencies, what bandwidth, everything. I've met by coincidence 2 or 3 Iranians which came from the American company, if I remember correctly, in Sanya, when I was living in Sanya. They had a conference in the hotel. I thought, what are you doing here? And they explained to me the details in the of how all these things done and how often they all meet and to plan the next and all the things, and said we already finished with 5G. That was 5 or 6 years ago. I met them in Sanya. I mean, they even go to China to have their conferences. They go all over the world. They have a freedom in keeping these conferences, and all the, what you call the satellite producers, the electronic system producers, the handsets, and all they meet on regular basis. That is always not just by coincidence. So your government, the Italian government, is the first of the others to start, because it's already, what do you call it, all been agreed and done with Vodafone and Italian telephone companies, and you hear most of it from Germans and the Americans and the rest of the world. These things are well planned. It's not coincidental. Any other question?
Okay, from Utah in our Q&A here says, good morning, Mr. Keshe. Good morning, Rick. When you're in love, you eat less. Is this similar to what you just taught? The human soul feeds the soul of physicality. Thank you.
Most probably, yes. Most probably. You receive more fields because you create that need, and then you give. I'll explain to you what we did last week, or what they call the 22nd of December, and what will happen on the 12th. And then we'll bring you together to see the difference. We don't give you any preset mind for it, but we'll let you feel it. If some of you who were in the session of 22nd, the last 5 minutes before we left you on your own, some of you stayed till God knows hours afterwards, how you felt. The last 10 minutes of the session was most probably the most important part of the session. But we want to know how you feel and how it was, because we left the lines open for many of you to practice. The session wasn't finished when we left the scene. And the session was going on till, I think, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning for some of you, as long as our systems could back up. And then when the systems died, the session was finished. And we want to know how much you practiced, what you felt during the time when you were on your own on the systems. As I said, as we go into the full training of the transmutation, you have to do it yourself. That's why we never, as usual in the past, when the session finished, we close the Zoom and we go. In the 22nd, the session was left open to the last 10 or 15 people. And many people practiced. They came back in again because the access for them was open. And they came back later on, they practiced and see if it happens, what happened, how they feel. And that's how it's going to be. We give you what we call the sandbox. After we give you the guidelines, we tell you, we leave it there, and we leave the systems for you to practice. And that's how it'll be. And this is how you learn. And as I said, this 100 odd people in that 22nd and in the 12th, some of you I'm sure will come into the third week of the January session, you start feeling, understanding totally different things, and you start maturing into it. But don't put it on coincidence. Learn from it to develop. Any other question?
Well, we have a hand up here from an attendee, Joachim. If you would like to go ahead there, please. I'm not sure. I think I pronounced that right, but I'm not quite sure. Is it Joachim? Can you unmute your mic, please, and go ahead?
Maybe it's been accidental coincidence.
Yes, it could be an inadvertent mic opening.
Yeah. Put the hands down and see if it comes back up again.
Sure.
Any other question?
Okay, in the Q&A from someone called Keshe's Fields, says, good morning, Mr. Keshe. Is the soul of the man inertia based on calcium?
What?
Is the soul of the man inertia based on calcium?
Nope. Not for sure. Maybe the soul of the physicality would be? And it's still
like
no, because what
down.
happened when you go to another planet and there is no calcium?
Mm-hmm.
No. So you can only manifest yourself when there is a calcium. You cannot be created on the stars, definitely. You cannot travel to the center of the universe, definitely. So, no.
Could it be that on Earth that the soul of the physicality is based on calcium?
No, the physicality based on calcium, because and through what we have explained in the teachings before. And what I call aliens do not come to Earth with a bone structure of calcium. Calcium by its structure, field in the gas condition, has connection to the 3 dimensions of the fields of the gas, the liquid and the solid of this planet. That's the reason. It has a common denominator, energy transfer, that all can be attached to it. That's why your amino acid, when it gets a calcium, it becomes a cell. Before that, it's just an amino acid. Any other question?
That might be a bit related to Peng Peter's question in the YouTube, who said, is the mobile transmutation only limited to Earth travel?
No, we gradually, as you become graduated, we have the first tool go through the transmutation to the moon. They already know who those 2 are. And no, it's not limited. In some of the processes in the back end of this year, some of you, if you go through a full understanding and learning yourself, during the sessions will transmute. If you're sitting next to your lover or your husband or your wife or whatever, they will tell you were not here. What happened to you? Where did you go? Because the transmutation will come in a physical dimension. You'll do it. We don't do it for you. And you're in the coming time, if you are, it's just like you say to your husband, I'm going to the supermarket to shop, and you go, he hears the door, and you go with a car goes off to go to the supermarket. You tell your partner, I'm going to God knows where, I'm going to New York to see my mom or whatever, and physically you will not exist there. Tell you the first time will be freaky, but gradually you learn. We learn that we go out of the house and we come back. Our loved ones will learn that we leave and we come back, because now we have that in our possession. It's another, what I call, string in the bow of the knowledge of the man to live in the universe. It's as the numbers build up, the mysticism and magic will go out of it. It becomes a norm. And as I always say, the best example is your mobile phones. If you remember, in 1990s when the first phones came, we looked at it in the movies. Spike used to use it in Star Trek, flipping open, and now we saw it later on coming into the market. In 1990s, 80s, you had this huge case carrying with the actual house mobile handset on your ear. Hello, you're very posh, what's this guy doing? The first times on the street, it looks like lunatics. Somebody carrying the handset of their home telephone next to the ear talking. And then we got used to it, and now we got used to the handsets, and the next generation of it are coming up. And it'll be the same. The first transmutations will be freaky for a lot of us, but maybe in some of the sessions, 10, 20 of you will transmute, and some of you will be on your own, some of you got somebody sitting next to you and say, oh, you were gone, where did you go? And you go back home again. These are part of, we have to go step by step that you learn. It's like that vertical unit you just seen as advertised. That is part of the process. That is part of the transmutation system, that you transmute and you come back. You don't leave. You can't go shopping with no money in your pocket. So when you leave, you go shopping and you come back. It says, oh, this is the shopping I did. Where have you been? Now you have a physical shopping bag and something in your hand. When you come home and there's less money in the hand when you left, it'll be the same process. And then you understand how impossible it becomes shoplifting. Your soul won't allow it. When you transmute in perfection. Any other question?
Okay, from Big John in YouTube. What is a good visualization to power up the soul in a deep level to work with these fields?
What? Repeat again.
He's looking for a good visualization to power up the soul in a deep level to work with these fields.
As I always say, you have to go lower than higher. And it's not a 3D movie that you can buy a 3D glasses for it. It's emotion and feeling. And if you understood the teaching, you don't actually power up, you power down. You don't need to power anything up. Any other question?
Okay, another one from Ping Peter. If transmutation envelops the soul of physicality and physicality, can I, in a way, carry my UFO or transportation with me in my pocket while I transmutate?
If you manage to transmute, do you think you need a UFO in your pocket? But if that gives you a good feeling, why not? When you go through the condition of transmutation, where you cover the physicality, you learn a lot more how to handle the physicality. And physical transportation, even as a group, will be different than you thinking of a UFO. Go back to the teaching, and the teaching was that you trust to give your soul to a captain. And how wise that captain is, and what will do with it at the time of when it needs. And how competent he is. It's very interesting what we saw in the last few days in Japan. The wisdom of a captain saves 300,000 people. From the view of cameras, if you look at the accident, there was a fire going on, everything burning. But the cameras in the back, where there was no fire, captain emptied the whole plane very carefully, very systematically, without loss of a single life. And if that captain was not wise, he would have opened this side where the fire was too. And we're seeing the fire and the explosion. This is the same when you become wise, when you give your soul to captains of the what we call experts that you think you would not be able to do it. That wisdom comes the same. And in a way, the captain of all of us is the creator. Even though he allows us to do naughty things here and there. But he's always there. Any other question?
Well, for I think probably the second time in the history of our Knowledge Seekers workshops, you've answered all the questions and hands up and so on.
So all our knowledge seekers are still enjoying the holidays, are not there. Still in a, what they're called, happy moods. That's good news.
There's only one other question mark, and it was from Cock Van Galen in YouTube, who said 700 women, question mark. One was too much for me.
No, Suleiman was known. He was infatuated with beauty of women. They say the most beautiful women in the Middle East were his wife. Any tribe he battled or we went, first of all, he got most of it, some of it, and the taste of it from David, because he took part of his harem. There's a lot to read about the life of these people, because Solomon is a son of David, and he took part of father's harem when he came. And how he came to rule is different stories in Bible and history. But this is he became addicted to the beauty that he even forgot about he was a king. What some people say that where he could even manage running what they call his kingdom. It wasn't run by the others because they got more beautiful women for him and he gave them more. Go and read the history of the what they call made up Torah and the books which goes with it. And there's a lot of bits added to it and it's made up. It's a history book. He was totally infatuated by women from childhood, from his father. He picked it up because he was the same. In the conquering different tribes and nations, you took women from them as well as a marriage that keeps it now. I own your country part. Now you give me a woman and I choose the most beautiful one. And so it goes back the same. Then don't forget to go back to the history of David, how he became a king. How he proclaimed to be a king. There's a lot of questions in historians that he ever became, was a king. He was made up to be a king later on. He was more like a local governor. But he stood a challenge for the daughter of the king, and he won the challenge with a stone and got the first girl, and then the next came as he conquered and he escaped, and the rest of it. The Torah of what they collection of this 20-odd books, which makes the total history of the Jewish religion, is full of love stories and women. And when you look at the cycle of Muhammad, time reducing from 1,000 to 20 was not that bad. Still, it was a big progress in 1,000 years. And now our rules is one. We can't even manage that one, single one, let alone how you can manage 20. Any other question?
From Saeed in the Q&A, do we eliminate the need for food and drinking if we transmute?
That's your decision. That's entirely your decision. That's how you have to decide. On Earth, that's your decision. When you become a person of the universe, you cannot know. You work through energies.
Okay, how about one more question? Would you like to wrap up here shortly?
Yeah.
From Jens P in the Q&A. Good morning, Mr. Keshe. The following happened during a conversation in German with a Dutch woman. Then something amazing happened during the treatment. She suddenly spoke fluently and very clearly, much more distinctly and clearly than before in German, and without an accent, perhaps a little over a minute, although it seemed like 5 minutes, in a foreign language. Then she asked me whether I understood anything and whether I could classify the language, which I said no. Intuitively, I thought of an Indian language from South America, although I have no connection to Indian languages. She then told me that it happens to her often in certain situations. Sometimes she understands it and can translate it. She also told me that I don't have to understand it because my soul would have understood it. The question is there a language of the soul?
In a way, yes. I put that question many times about the children in the womb of the mother, and when they are born, how they communicate. But the language we already know, we ignore it. And yes, it does. Clearly does.
You have the example too of, I think it's the Pentecostal faith and many others as well, that they speak in tongues or in a foreign language that's not readily translatable, let's say. That would be similar to this.
Yeah, but it's what we call, it's been normal. It's like we are part of the structure, and others work and we work through them and they work through us. It's not unusual. We'll do more and more of it. Become fluent in other languages.
Is that part of connecting with the universal community, that things like that might occur?
We mainly connect to ourselves, then the community, to our language, to our people. This is part of the structure of what we want to, and we choose. As I said, we'll go to China, we'll speak Chinese without ever being in China. We understand the emotion and everything else of it. We'll speak a collective essence of the language, which means we carry all the Chinese knowledge we need to know as we connect to the souls. We become what I call a satellite. If they ask you about the history of China, you know it to the detail as it is collectively known and accepted by the souls. You'll be puzzled about what will come and how man will change.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. We look forward to all the great changes to come in 2024 with the lucky 8, as you mentioned earlier.
Yeah. Depends how you see it and how you understand it. But we have a structured program for the coming year and how we'll take you through transmutation and the rest of it. We provide the facility, it's you who's got to do it. And I'm sure your loved ones will be shocked when they see it happening. Even some of you will have a body left behind while you're traveling with the soul and the soul of physicality, and you come back. Say, where have you been? You've been here like dead. I thought you're dead, but you're gone. You will learn it. We all go through it. When you leave the body behind, it doesn't decompose like a dead body as you die. It's a reference point of return. You will learn about it. Thank you very much for today. Please, as I said, those of you who are signing in for the third week of each month, please complete it because it's getting full. And then you can't say, I've been in all the sessions and now I cannot come in. Once we reach our number, we block, as many of you know, for the 22nd. We refunded some of you because it passed the number we were working on. Thank you very much.
There was a question about that, Mr. Keshe. In German, can you book the new sessions individually, or are they connected?
They're all
And-
connected. You can connect. You can sign in individually.
Yeah, I believe it says, let me just get it up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you can see it there. You can
Yeah.
choose particular
Yeah.
sessions, or you can
Yeah.
book all 6 for a discount, it mentions.
Yeah. A lot of people are booking for the whole sessions because it's part of the process. And some people would like to do one at a time. That's whatever reason they have. But we keep that numbers that we keep. Well, we know what we are doing, and we're keeping the numbers to that number. Because there will be huge changes coming up. Don't forget, we have a lot of other work going outside the Keshe Foundation would come in to merge into this work, especially after what you call March, April, when we bring the satellites in.
Okay, and
change.
sorry. Kurt also asked, do you have to ask for permission in advance? And yes, you mentioned that people should sign up right away because it gets too crowded, and you have to have.
I mean, you've been there, Rick. You know how much noise it gets when the numbers are high.
Yeah.
So we have to keep very close tab on it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we'll see. And we announced once we close the session, we announced we can't accept anymore. And the whole system sets up that way. Thank you very much for today. And we'll see you next week. And I hope you enjoyed, or you learn a little bit more about yourselves. Thank you very much, Rick.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. Thank you for another Knowledge Seekers Workshop here, 519, here on Thursday, January 4th in 2024 already. It's hard to believe, I think, but here we are, and launching into another year. Okay, well, we're also launching into another series of workshops with the public meeting for testimonials coming up on Monday. That's January 8th. That's our next public teaching workshop, and that'll start at 8 p.m. Central European Time. And folks are welcome to bring their stories or pictures or videos of the plasma technology and give a testimonial for others and share with others to it's a way you can kind of pay back for your receiving the knowledge and being in that position, and to share it with others is an opportunity to elevate all. So please consider that. And again, that's on Monday, the 8th of January, starting at 8 p.m. Central European Time. Okay, I think that's it for now. Thank you again, Mr. Keshe, for being here for all these years of constant teaching and information stream that's come through. Thank you very much. And thank you everybody for being here. I appreciate we all appreciate your presence here at the Knowledge Seekers Workshop. Okay, we're going out now with the Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit music version. Bye everyone, see you in the next public teaching workshop.